Coming up on 5 Minute News. Russia vows to scale back military action near the Ukrainian capital. Long gap in Trump phone logs as January 6 violence unfolded. And US authorizes second COVID booster for Americans aged 50 and over. It's Wednesday, March 30. I'm Anthony Davis. Russia announced yesterday it will significantly scale back military operations near Ukraine's capital and northern city as a possible deal to end the grinding war came into view at the latest round of talks. Ukraine's delegation at the conference held in Istanbul laid out a framework under which the country could declare itself neutral and its security would be guaranteed by an array of other nations. Moscow's public reaction was positive, and the negotiations are expected to resume today, 5 weeks into what has devolved into a bloody war of attrition, with thousands dead and almost 4 million Ukrainians fleeing the country. Amid the talks, Russian Deputy Defense Minister Alexander Fomin said Moscow had decided to fundamentally cut back military activity in the direction of Kiev and Chernihiv to increase mutual trust and create conditions for further negotiations. He did not immediately spell out what that would mean in practical terms. The announcement was met with skepticism from the US and others. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia cannot be trusted. Although the signals from the talks are positive, they can't silence explosions of Russian shells, he said. Ukraine will continue negotiations, he said, but officials do not trust the word of the country that continues fighting to destroy us. While Moscow portrayed it as a goodwill gesture, its ground troops have become bogged down and taken heavy losses in their bid to seize Kiev and other cities. Last week and again on Tuesday, the Kremlin seemed to lower its war aims, saying its main goal now is gaining control of the mostly Russian-speaking Donbass region in eastern Ukraine. The panel investigating the January 6 insurrection at the US Capitol has identified a roughly 8-hour gap in official White House records as the violence unfolded. The gap extends from little after 11 a.m. to about 7 p.m. on January 6, 2021, involving White House phone calls. The committee is investigating the gap in the official White House log, which includes the switchboard and a daily record of the president's activities. It does not mean the panel is in the dark about what Trump was doing during that time. The House panel has made broad requests for separate cell phone records and has talked to more than 800 witnesses, including many of the aides who spent the day with Trump. The committee also has thousands of texts from the cell phone of Mark Meadows, who was then Trump's chief of staff. The committee's effort to piece together Trump's day as his supporters broke into the Capitol underscores the challenge that his habitual avoidance of records laws poses, not only to historians of his tumultuous 4 years, but to the official panel, which intends to capture the full story of the former president's attempt to overturn the election results in hearings and reports later this year. The panel has trained a particular focus on what the president was doing in the White House, as hundreds of his supporters attacked police, broke into the Capitol, and interrupted the certification of Joe Biden's 2020 presidential election victory. The missing records raise questions of whether Trump purposely circumvented official channels to avoid records. Health officials on Tuesday authorized a second COVID-19 booster dose of the 2 most commonly used COVID-19 vaccines for people aged 50 and older, citing data showing waning immunity and the risks posed by Omicron variants of the virus. The US Food and Drug Administration agency said the new boosters, a 4th round of shots for most vaccine recipients of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, are to be administered at least 4 months after the previous dose. They are intended to offer more protection against severe disease and hospitalization. The FDA also authorized a second booster dose of the vaccines for younger people with compromised immune systems, those aged 12 and older for the Pfizer-BioNTech shot and 18 and older for Moderna's. The US CDC backed the FDA's authorization, recommending the additional shot, particularly for older people and those with underlying medical conditions that put them at higher risk. The decision to offer second boosters in the United States comes as some scientists have raised concern about the highly contagious and newly predominant BA.2 Omicron subvariant, which has driven up COVID-19 cases in other countries. COVID cases in the United States have dropped sharply since a record surge in January, but have seen a small uptick over the past week. The FDA will soon weigh the benefits of authorizing another round of boosters, perhaps specifically targeted to combat new variants of concern to a broader population after the summer. The FDA said it looked at data from a relatively small ongoing clinical trial in Israel to help make its decision. In addition, safety data from more than 700,000 people who received second boosters in Israel revealed no new concerns, the agency said. The study of Israeli healthcare workers cited by the FDA suggested that the fourth dose added little additional protection in the age group. You can subscribe to 5-Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5-Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5-Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.